Final hour for the week. OverDrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jason Strudwick. The oven has been heated appropriately. The Strud muffins have been popping off the hook. It's been a great show so far. We got a big hour coming up. Luke Willson will join us in a moment. Al's brother with more picks. We got Dear Hayesy-B later in the hour. We got Edmonton versus Pittsburgh tonight. Ottawa's in Vegas playing right now, which is a little bit strange, but big game for both teams, certainly for Ottawa. It sounds like Allmark will return, and the Leafs are in Boston tomorrow. And Struddy, you got Sid the Kid in town. I mean, it still pops when Sid's up in Toronto? I would assume the same thing in Edmonton.
Yeah, Sidney Crosby he's been the best player for years in the NHL. And just, how many times has this guy ever done anything wrong? Right? Like, I have a hard time thinking of anything he's done wrong. So, very popular player here. There'll be a ton of Crosby jerseys in the rink tonight, just like everywhere he goes. And well-deserved, and you wonder what's he going to do? And it seems like he and his teammates are kind of got it going this year. So, whatever. They're trying to make a push to get back in the playoffs.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
just
you're right.
Just a dream scenario, guys, when you draft a guy number one overall, you're looking to turn your franchise around. And how many organizations actually get it right like that, where you get a Sidney Crosby, 20-year career, 3 championships, model citizen, takes 8.7. It's like, that could be your list next week, Hayes. The top 5 dream scenario draft picks that turned around a franchise. Sid's got to be up there, man.
Yeah, he absolutely would. And I mean, Lemieux did that as well when he arrived in Pittsburgh in the 80s, and that's the amazing thing. Lemieux was still playing when Sid first arrived.
No kidding. Yeah. To go from Lemieux and Jagger to Crosby and Malkin.
Incredible.
It's incredible.
Come on.
That pops up online a lot, the Mount Rushmore, the team with the best Mount Rushmore, and Pittsburgh thinks they have it, obviously, with Mario and Jagger and Sid and Gino, but I would lean Edmonton with, and I'm curious who you would put in there for Struddy. Obviously Gretzky, Messier, McDavid are your 3, but is it Draisaitl? Is it Coffey? Would it be Curry? Is it Fuhr? Who would be the 4th guy in Edmonton?
Yeah, I love those 4 guys for Pittsburgh. Those are 4 of my favorite players, and so are Messier, Gretzky, and I think McDavid is right up there. So, my God, it's how do you leave Draisaitl off the list? But I think I'm going to go Coffey.
That's what I was going to say. Coffey was the man on that team for years.
I don't know how. It's crazy though. You're leaving off Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah,
and Leon is arguably the 4th best center in Oilers history.
That's scary. Scary how good that is.
Think about that. He's a Hall of Famer. Walk in.
I was trying to think. Yeah, I was like, the 4th. You might be missing somebody. Then I was like, oh, there's Messier.
Yeah, Gretzky, Messier, McDavid, and then him.
Yeah, we're talking about guys going to walk into the Hall of Fame, and he's the 4th best. I'm not even talking about Gunnar Anderson, who had 500 goals. Right. He was Fuhr was an amazing player. Just crazy.
Well, Gino, it's the same thing, right? You got Sid. You got Mario. You could argue Ron Francis. When Ron Francis was there doing his thing in the 90s. Yeah, pretty good, man. He's top 10 all time in points, games played, Hall of Famer, Cup winner, everything.
Who's the next team? Is it Montreal? Is it
I think Montreal? I think Montreal might even be able to surpass those. Maybe not, but they would be 3. You'd have Richard, you'd have Beliveau, and then
Lafleur.
Probably Lafleur and Roy. Do you go
Larry Robinson?
Jacques Plante? Do you go Robinson? Yeah, I mean, if you're expanding the list and you're doing a top 10, no one can touch Montreal.
Crazy.
I don't
the Roadrunner? Yvan Cournoyer? I love that guy.
Would be there. Exactly.
I love him.
The Roadrunner.
I love him.
He was. How many times did he win? He won 10 cups. A lot of those
Patrick
guys.
Waugh, Ken Dryden.
That's right.
I don't know who the top 4
Carey
there is.
Price, they love in Montreal.
Yeah, Carey.
He never won like the other guys, but there was. We were just walking around the Bell Center, and I'm blanking on the original Big Hab back in the 20s. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Because there's 4. It's Lafleur, Beliveau, Richard. They all have statues, and I'm blanking on the original. the first one. Anyway, but I'll find that out. I'll tell you. But that's the fourth guy that they're like the Mount Rushmore of great Canadians, the pillars of the organization. There were four of them. And then all the rest, though, you could go on and on and on. Steve Shutt, there's a million different great players in Habs history. And there's a million great gamblers out there in football history, but there's only one team that's been chugging the way Hayes and
What the Luke Willson is cooking.
And we got our boy Luke Willson here licking his wounds again, man. I don't like doing this, Luke. I hate this, man. It sucks to have you on after you pick a loser. But what happened last night? What happened to Sam Darnold? What happened to Brian Flores and that defense? How did the Rams find a way to win that ball game last night?
That's a great question, Hayes. That one burned me a bit.
Partsy, what the hell happened into the thought process? Tell me where your mind was at and tell me what happened.
Okay, so my mind was in I had already got burned by Matthew Stafford earlier in the year. That's my guy. Mm-hmm. And I sat here and I said to myself, this Rams team is 2-4. There was questions about whether Puka was going to be playing or not. And I'm like, the Vikings are a 5-1 team that just lost to the best team in the NFC, the Detroit Lions, by a last-second field goal. Even if their defense can't hold up, Sam Darnold's been great. The Vikings should roll here. And to be honest with you, the first two drives, Sam Darnold looked like Joe Montana. I think Jefferson had 68 yards in the first quarter. I'm kicking my feet up saying, this thing's going to be a blowout. Matthew Stafford will throw a pick. We'll get a couple stops. We'll be great. And then, woe is me. I mean, full stop. The Vikings struggled after those first two drives, and I got to tip my cap to Matthew Stafford. I mean, that guy, as soon as you feel like, I feel like with Stafford, you count him out like, he's getting a little bit over the hump. He puts a performance on last night, and you're like, holy smokes. I mean, he was, again, I got to tip my cap. The guy played out of his mind. Big throws, big plays, really read the game well. So, Partsy, I think it was a good pick at first. I think we probably would have been on the same way, but clearly it was not. I got to wear that. And we're back to square one, even Steven. And Al's brother will join us here in a few moments. And, a lot is being made of that face mask in the end zone last night, which was so blatant. I mean, it's tough to believe that was missed. Yet I'm not convinced Darnold and company was going to march down the field anyway. Agreed. Hayes, it's funny. I totally agree with that. But it is one of those things where, I watched that, and I'm on this, as much as I was hoping they would march down and maybe force overtime, I don't think, gut instinct here, I did not think Darnold was going to do that based on how he played, especially in the last 2.5 quarters. But it's one of those things where I can't even fathom a referee not seeing that. I mean, Sam Darnold's head jerks off of his body. It wasn't like a quick face mask. It was a full grab. And then the dude who did it grabs his head. Like, if you get a safety to end the game, generally you're celebrating like crazy. This dude puts his hands on his head like, oh, my goodness, I just ruined a moment. And as much as I would like to say, and again, I want to be very clear, I do not think the Vikings are going to drive the field. But a minute 36, you toss one up to, and you're on your own 20, you give a 50-50 ball to Jefferson. Do you have a shot? Sure. Mm-hmm. It's crazy that, I'm dumbfounded. I don't know how you're 5 feet away and do not see that face mask. That's the end of that rant.
Luke Strudwick here. I got to say I'm a big fan. I love how I come in here and challenge these three guys. They sit on here like they're all special, the three wise men, and I love that you challenge them. So first off, thank you for that, Luke.
I appreciate that. Struddy.
And second thing, 49ers, Cowboys. Which one of these teams needs this win the most this weekend?
To me, I think both are obviously in dire need of a win. But to me, it's the Dallas Cowboys. If you ask me, who needs it, I'm not saying who's going to win. I know Hayes and Bob are on the clock here. But you look at the division that the Niners are in, and I don't think there's a very strong team. Obviously, the Rams looked good last night. They're 3-4. The Seahawks are 4-3 with the Bills coming to town. Going to be a very, very tough matchup there. Cardinals are 3-4, I believe, as well. A lot of problems there. Really gross win. Great win, but gross win last Monday against the Chargers. Even if the Niners lose this game, I'm not going to write them out of the division. because they'll probably, depending on if the Bills handle business, only be a game out still. Where the Cowboys, on the other hand, one, have more glaring fundamental problems. They have injury problems as well, but they have more fundamental football problems. And also, the Commanders look great. And I think the Commanders are going to win, 11 games this year, 10 games at least. So you start falling behind in a division where you have a real front runner with the Commanders, and you're in desperation mode here. So I would say that the Cowboys are in a much more dire situation than the 49ers.
With Luke Willson, I agree with that. And, coming off the bye, considering how they played, I don't know what to make of that game. We'll get to it momentarily. Al's brother and I are not seeing the board equally. Let's put it that way. So there's going to be, we got to figure this out. The TG's going to have to come alive here in a few moments. But Tua's returning, and they're playing the Cardinals this week, and I guess I'm a little taken aback by how matter-of-fact his return is. And I guess I'll ask you to speak on that, Luke, because the injury was so tough to watch, and he's got the concussion issues, and there were so many prominent, NFL players, current and former players, saying this guy's got to retire, don't ever play again. And now he's just back. He's just playing. And it's just, hey, the Tyreek's saying, hey, start me again in fantasy, man. We're back. We're back up. Tua's back. It's just kind of, I guess it speaks to what football's all about, but why are you surprised at all at this? Because I kind of feel like I am, that it's such a matter of fact, just Tua's back, and we're just going to keep playing ball, and that's that.
So, Hayes, it is a very, very strange situation, and it kind of makes your, the emotion of it for me leaves you with an unsettled or uneasy stomach, especially because, you've seen guys get concussions, but with him, what makes it even worse is that his concussion symptoms manifest in some weird body movements when he's unconscious, which just adds to the emotion. At least for me, it does. But this is what I'd say. If you can kind of take the emotion out, and I go to this is straight from my experience about getting concussions in that league. Right now, we are past the days of you got your bell rung. That does not happen in the NFL. At least it did not happen to anyone that I know of. You walk in as a rookie, and you get a slew of baseline tests from not only team docs but independent docs that will follow you for the rest of your career. And then when you get a concussion, there are strict protocols of what you need to do in order to clear that protocol and get back. You look at a guy like Tua, and where my head goes, and I don't mean this from the NFL being unselfish, because I mean it from a selfish point of view. The NFL, not the PA, but the NFL is about big business. It's about, we always would hear, the NFL at the end of the day will protect the shield. They will always protect their brand over everything. And you sit here, and it's not good for their brand. Tua getting another concussion. Mm-hmm. And now clearly he can do it. But my point is, Roger Goodell, this entire NFL front office, is not going to let Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, play this man unless they are bulletproof from the best doctors. I don't know if they're neuropsych guys, whatever the exact concussion docs terms are, in the world. There is no doubt in my mind that between the Miami franchise and the NFL, Tua has seen people that know way, 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 way more about concussions than we do. And what I was told when I got my first one in the NFL was, Luke, I know there's a lot of scary stuff about it. Your career's not over, but the kiss of death is if you stack them. If you come back too early and you lie to us and you say, oh, we don't have concussion symptoms, even if they're small, and then you get another one, that's when you get into grave danger and you get into the long-term issues. However, if you take the proper time, it could be, they say they don't know, it could be 1 week, it could be 4. Everyone is independent of a different one. Because what I was told, again, this is from a doc, this is just regurgitating it, it's where you got hit, what part of the brain. It's kind of crazy, but that's how they explain it to me. So I sit here and I say emotionally, it's a gut-wrenching to wow, Tua's back after everything he's been through. But if I take the emotion out of it, there's no way that he's not getting medical clearance from guys that know a lot more than I do. And if he's getting that from docs and he wants to play ball, go play ball. That's how I feel about it. I know it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And he's going out here, and I bet they're sitting there saying, hey, listen, and we talked about it yesterday, Hayes, that third wild card spot is going to be 9-8 in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me that with Tua at the fold, I think it's unlikely, but you can't tell me they can't grind out a couple wins and be at least in the conversation at the end of the year for that third wild card spot.
Well, I hear you, man. And I think that's probably the thought process from Tua, from his teammates, from Mike McDaniel, and they need him because when he wasn't there, it was a real mess for the Dolphins. It was a real mess. And they got to get on the on the winning ways here. They got to find a way to do what Hayes and Bro have been doing for quite some time. Just a perfect segue into my partsy. There he is, Al's brother. Where's my hat? There's my hat. Rock the hat. TG, feeling good.
Yes.
Loving life. I love the
Struddy, have you ever, you're in a circle now with two other pro athletes. Have you ever seen a bozo show like what you're looking at in your return screen?
It's a lot to take. I've seen this before. It's a lot to take on.
It is.
And
we take your breath away? Is that what you're saying, Struddy? Our performance takes your breath away. Like when you watch McDavid on a nightly basis. Is that what you're getting at?
That's right. You're looking at the McDavid and Draisaitl of gambling right now. That's who we are.
You know what the toughest part for me is? When Al's brother gets a win and he fires up all 12, it's probably more than that, but at least 12 per night of his burner accounts, and they all tweet the same sort of thing at me.
Yeah.
It's the most infuriating ordeal. And I'll be like, here's a new guy. And it's always the same. You go to a page, and it's wrestling and Leafs hockey. And
he blasts out a group text to his 12 buddies that live in their parents' basement, and they just go after it.
I can't have the computer till
It's just the bot army. I don't control them. They do what they want. I don't control nothing.
I can't use Twitter after 9 o'clock.
So you got to get in early, man. You get a run back early, like that thing by 8:35. That bot army's alive. Because you're right, they're not allowed. They're not allowed Wi-Fi after 9. They have to shut it down. All right, Al's brother. Well, we're in a good position, buddy, and we've got a tough game here. Bengals, Eagles, Cincinnati at home laying 2.5. Where you and I have kind of gone back and forth on this. Where's your head at on this game?
Okay, so I am open to either side here, Partsy. I am. It is a tough game. Like, Doogie is certainly making his money this week and giving us the tough games. That we can establish. The difficulty I have in this one is I don't know how to evaluate these teams at this point because they've both played some pretty garbage junk teams. They've played well. They've won a couple games in a row here, and they're two teams at the beginning of the season you felt were going to be at least fighting for a playoff spot. It started out rough, but they've righted the ship. But is it the chicken or the egg? Are they getting good or are they playing bad teams? Which one is it? I think we'll learn about both of these teams this weekend. I'm open to either side here, Partsy. I am open to either side. It's a really tough game. What's the gut instinct?
My gut says Bengals, and here's why. Because the Bengals have hurt us in the past, and we have put them in this position before where you got to take care of business here against a Kansas City, against maybe a Washington at home, and they have failed to do that. Their defense has been infuriating to watch, get shredded. Mm-hmm. But I think they are moving in a better direction, and I think they realize they need this game more than Philly does because of what Luke was just saying, that, the NFC, Philly can probably get there with 9 wins, 10 wins. Maybe you see that with the AFC. Maybe that third wild card is 9 wins. But there's something about Joe Burrow, if he stays healthy, and I do believe he is healthier today even than he was coming out of camp, that him at home only laying 2.5, I think I like where the Bengals are at. I think they're a team that's going to get better as the year goes on. And because it's less than a touchdown at home or less than a field goal at home, I lean Bengals here because I think they need the win more than Philly does. So that's where my head's at. That's where my head's at.
You know what? I had some time to reflect since we had our first conversation. I did some visualization techniques, I believe, is what the term that the cool kids are using these days.
I love it.
And when I use those techniques, Hayesy-B, I came to the conclusion of a couple of things. One, the Eagles, they're missing a couple of their top O linemen, Jordan Mailata and Mekhi Becton, both going to miss. And when they beat the Giants last week, look, they ran a lot. They ran for like 200-something yards, and Saquon was unbelievable. But without those two guys, are they going to be able to do the same thing? But here's the troubling stat that I just can't seem to get over when I'm looking at this Eagles offense. Their third down rating, last week, they were 1 for 13. 1 for 13 on third down, and they're converting at just a 30% clip over the last 3 weeks. I believe Dallas Goedert is not going to be playing this week as well. And I think it's time for Burrow and the Bengals to just get cooking.
Yes.
So I think I could side with you, Partsy.
Let's do it.
I think we could side with Burrow and the Bengals and Houday Nation.
Houday Nation. Lock it in. Bengals laying 2.5. The pick is official. I love where we're at. I love the way we're seeing the board. Everyone's in business with us. Everyone wants to know what's up. Now they hit the mute button because these two buffoons are about to pick. Bills laying 3 at home against the Seahawks. This is going to put Luke Wilson's head into a blender. I can't wait
I hope
to
the
see what
12s
comes
are
out of
listening.
it.
I hope the 12s are listening out on the West Coast.
We're getting a huge following in
Before
Seattle.
you get your heart and your emotions involved, I have a similar feeling about this game as I did when Jacksonville was wheeling into Buffalo.
Yes,
an
Marcy, I
absolute
think you're gonna
ass
like it.
whooping. An absolute
I
ass
think you're
whooping.
going to like where I'm at. I just want to point out that when you wake up and the 1 p.m. game starts, we got our boy Vic Fangio calling defensive shots for a win. And Vic Fangio's been great to us in the past, and he'll be great to us on Sunday at 1. When the 4 o'clock game comes, my old Seahawks playing the Buffalo Bills. You know I'm not a big Bills guy, Partsy. However, we will be taking the Buffalo Bills in this game.
Thank you very much.
It is the right pick. And I would have been swayed if DK Metcalf was playing. He's listed as doubtful, did not practice today. If DK was in, Partsy, I might have pushed you a little bit. I'll be honest. But DK out, I look at this matchup, and I think the Bills' best thing is their offensive line. Seattle does not stop the run well. They're going to play bully ball up front. Amari Cooper's going to have another week in this offense, feeling good. Josh Allen, he understands the situation. He's going to not turn the ball over, hopefully. I think Geno will have a good game. I think Geno will end up throwing for 250, 275, keep it close. But I believe the line is 3. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
I like Buffalo to cover that line, Partsy. But if you want to take Seattle, I will take it. But I like Buffalo to cover that line.
I think it's an ass whooping, from way down under. Just Jacksonville all over again. A whooping. That's what's going to happen.
I agree. I think the Seattle team, they had a good win last week, but 3 of those 4 wins they have are very, very fraudulent. We're here to win games. The way I see right now, we're +2 heading into the Sunday Nighter. If there's one game I did not want to pick this week, it is the Sunday Nighter. Good luck to Hayes and Bot trying to figure out this absolute mess.
It's a
By
jam
the way,
job.
Who's playing for San Francisco? Nobody knows. Nobody. So good luck picking, boy.
Yeah, it's a jam job. It's a Doogie jam job, and that's why I'm glad he took the money because I wanted you guys to stay in it. He jammed me last night. I want
Was
some of
that
that money
video
back.
revealed to the people?
Yeah, we played that clip, and
The
context of it was make sure you keep Owen Wilson in the hunt. We don't want to run away with this, and he's doing his best to make that work.
Partsy, Doogie came on and admitted, I asked him a series of questions. Doogie is an absolute scumbag. Right now,
That's
the
not
scumbag
true.
He's the
ranking.
worst out
You
of
take that
anybody,
back.
and I
That
would
is
not
not
shed
true.
a tear if I walked in that building and he was escorted to his car by security because he is a scumbag.
No, he's
Go
not.
ahead with your
Doogie
pick.
is a man of integrity. You can chirp us. Do not chirp Doogie. I will not
He
accept
gave
that.
you the biggest
Scumbag
layup of the
rankings right
weekend
now.
here.
That's right. He did. He
On
did.
the
The Bills
scumbag
roll. Everyone knows
rankings,
it.
it goes Al's brother 3, Hayes 2, Doogie 1 right now, but that is rotating.
That's completely invalid. That's a falsity. All right, Hayes and Bro. Here we go. Niners laying 3.5 at home against the Cowboys coming off a bye. Al's brother, where's your head at, man?
I like the Niners in this game.
Okay.
I do think the Niners roll because, as Luke said, who's not playing in this game, Luke? What don't we know? What do you want answers to?
Just
So
keep
the
going with
only
your pick.
wideout-
Don't ask him.
The only wideout I know that might be playing is Deebo Samuel. I mean, Ayuk's obviously done for the year.
Ayuk's
Juwan Jennings
done.
is out.
Yeah.
Chris Conley was, I believe, limited today with an ankle. He's supposed to play. I mean, the healthiest receiver was shot with a gun 2 months ago.
That's wild
That's your
stuff.
healthiest guy.
That's a fact. The guy that was shot could
With
be
a gun.
wide receiver 1.
Ricky Pearsall, he's a nice little player. I'll say that. He's a nice little player. I think that he factors in this week.
Good.
Okay, but explain.
He has to if you're taking the Niners.
Well, you're at more about what could be missing from the Cowboy lineup because there's still big omissions from that lineup.
I mean, Micah Parsons was officially ruled out today, and that's massive, right? Deron Bland, he's limited. He hasn't practiced at all this week. I doubt he's going to play. And with this defense, without those guys, DeMarcus Lawrence still on IR, they're giving up 28 points per game, which ranks 31st out of 32 teams in the NFL. They've really, really struggled stopping the run. They're ranking 30th in run-stop win rates. The Lions ran it down their throats a couple weeks ago for 184 yards, and I think that Kyle Shanahan wants to do the exact same thing. Jordan Mason's healthy, ready to rock, ready to run. Sure, there's no Ayuk. Juwan Jennings probably not going to play, but Debo is. He should be back. He practiced both Thursday and Friday. George Kittle, he's healthy. He's a big weapon for them, both the passing and the rushing attack. That O-line is healthy. Purdy just got to manage the game. He's one of the best game managers in the NFL. Stay protected. Don't turn the ball over. I think they should be able to cover this number with ease. Just run the ball, put up points, and I think they should be able to win this game and cover the 3.5.
All right, it's very compelling. I can be persuaded as well because my lean was coming off a bye and coming off that embarrassment. The Cowboys, this is a big under the spotlight type game. Big rival Niners. There'll be a million Cowboy fans there Sunday night. But I like what you're preaching there, Els brother. I like where you're at. You came to the promised land when I was kind of pushing Bengals. I'm going to do the same thing and lean towards you with the Niners. I'm willing to accept that and lay the 3.5. Let's lock it in. We're on the Niners.
That's why we work in unison, Parts.
Yes, you just
work
gave us
in
a
unison.
gift.
David and Draisaitl in the power play.
That's a gift, Parts. Do you not agree that they just handed us a gift, these two bozos?
Partsy, we got a really good shot to be +3. We're going Vic Fangio in the 1 o'clock. We got Josh Allen in the 4, and we got Mike the Man Zimmer in the Sunday Nighter. Lock this team of backups up. We go +3. I cannot wait. It's going to be electric.
It's simply not going to happen. And Doogie's doing everything he can to make your life easier. He's doing everything he can to make your life easier, but
I had a question for you guys, though. I do got a question, Luke. Let's say this does work out the way that I anticipated happening and probably will happen, and it's a blowout win for the 49ers. Is that curtains for Mike McCarthy?
It's got to be soon. It's got to be now. Is it one of those things where, hey, what's the point of getting an intern coach? Is the season shot? I don't, to me, they have so many fundamental issues. Even with, and this is an honest question, if both of these teams are healthy, let's say both teams are healthy here, you have Micah, do you really feel like the Cowboys are going to, assuming when I say healthy, the Niners have CMC, that the Cowboys would have any chance of winning this game? So sometimes I always wonder, what is the point of hiring an intern coach when it's not really a motivational problem, it's not a culture problem, it's a we stink at football problem, which is what this defense is right now, until Sunday night, of course, for Mike Zimmer. So I don't know if you fire McCarthy yet, unless you really think that you have somebody who can turn the season around. But I will say, one of the things that I find fascinating, and this is my actual guy, is that there's somebody who looks great to me right now is Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is obviously balling with the Commanders. Last year, people were blaming Dan Quinn for the defense, Dan Quinn, and you think of that playoff loss to the Packers, what a brutal game for him, is he still going to get a head coaching job? This man has kind of showed his greatness by making that defense last year above average at times, because it is simply not an above average defense, whether or not Micah Parsons is playing. I think it's a testament to how great of a coach Dan Quinn is, and I digress.
Well, there you go. And now they're going into a week without Jaden Daniels. So, the NFC East, it's up for grabs still at this point, and we'll see what comes out of these games. Yeah, it
should have been number 1 versus number 2. Caleb versus, and not going to see it.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Maybe Doogie could have snuck that game in, but it's all good. Doogie makes sure that Timo and Wilson has layups.
I think we stated clearly, Scumbag 3 is Al's brother, then Hazenbot, and then Doogie. That's the scumbag chain of command.
You know what? I'm happy what game he didn't slide in there. Cardinals, Dolphins. Yes. 2 reasons. 1, who knows what the hell you're going to get out of Tua coming back from the injury? And second of all, do you guys know what the hell's going on? You guys know what happened today? Call of Duty released today, fellas. Call
Kyler
of Duty
Murray's
is out.
Cooked. Kyler
Turning
Murray,
into a pumpkin.
he will not sleep before kickoff. He'll be playing that game.
He'll be the worst player in the league by the end of the season.
He will be Rex Grossman without an arm or a shoulder.
Nathan Peterman, here we go.
He's Nate Peterman. That's what he's going to be.
No, Nathan.
So at
don't
least we
send
didn't
him
get that
guy
game.
named Peter.
Nathan Peterman. Listen, before you joined us, Jay Peterman came up a lot on this show, man. It wasn't overly positive. But anyway, we'll leave it there. All right, boys. Good luck this weekend. Al's brother, tremendous information, great gut instinct. Awesome to see you.
TG, boys.
TG.
Cheers, boys.
There's Luke Willson and Al's brother. Picks are in. Lock it in. Hayes and Bro will continue to roll. I feel good about that. Dear Hayesy-B coming up, and our best bet still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Mail-In Fridays brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. From tip-offs to tie bites and puck drops to pizza, BP's elite lineup of apps, wings, and ice cold beers always dialed in for game time. Hustle in your local BP tonight. Get to Dear Hayesy-B here in a moment. Best bet still to come. But it's time for you to tell us where Al's brother was hiding this week. We just saw Al's brother. He looked marvelous in his Hayes and Bro hat with his plant behind him. It looks great. Best background in showbiz right now. Call us at 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050. The first caller through with the correct location wins a pair of tickets to see the Leafs play the Kraken next Thursday, Halloween night, October 31st. And as we know, and I think we knew yesterday, Al's brother is at Drake's house. That's where Al's brother has been all week. Security let him in with the tickets. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff, Struddy.
Whoever does the clues, let's maybe consult.
Do you want in on the consultation? You want to be a part of this kind of
Dude,
thing?
I would love to have. We grew up here. I know places. You got to be a little bit more vague. Like we don't.
All right.
It's beside the Scotiabank. It's like we are giving it away rather early here.
Okay. You want to test. I like the way you're thinking. Or I'll connect you with the people that you need to be connected with.
I'm
going to
do the clues. I am going to do the clues for next week.
Okay. Oh, it's a celebration, man. Look at that. It's a celebration.
It is, I guess.
It's a celebration. All right, best bet still to come. You want to fire up some Dear Hayesy-B here?
Fire it up.
Well, I've got one.
Oh, you have one out of the gate?
Insight.
Yeah.
The ability to see and understand why you do the things you do.
Dear Hayesy-B.
We're going to go down there and have a donkey barbecue, and I'm going to furnish the ass, right?
You don't want to hide a Mars bar in your sleeping bag when there's a bear outside the tent.
Freddie, I don't know if you've ever done this, but every Friday we just get text, emails, people need some help, and your boy Noodles, yourself, Hayesy-B, myself, worldly people. We help people out.
Okay.
That's right.
That's fair.
Do you have
That's what we do.
us, Strud? Is there something you need us to help you with? Is that what you're suggesting? Or
I guess I want to know. I want to help you out. Was that an iron-on logo you put on there, or did you have to put water on it to scratch that Hayes and Bro hat together? Like what? Because it's a homebrew. That's a homebrew for sure. There's no way done professionally.
It's professional. I'm telling you, it's 100% professional. And this hat, I walk around town with this hat, and the amount of people that say I got to have one of those hats, it would shock you. I mean, you think I'm just laughing this off. I'm being dead serious, man. I see people they just go like this. Where can I find that hat? I'd pay a lot of money for that hat.
It's a lot of hat. Two grandpas are trying to play golf right now, and they don't have their hat, right? They got that blue cord across the top.
I love the cord. It's a phenomenal hat. And Struddy, I'll send one to you, and you can wear it with pride. Wear it with pride.
Fit a buffalo.
That rascal would probably put it on Marketplace and try to make money off of it.
That's exactly what they do. West Edmonton Mall making
exactly. Setting up a little booth selling Hayes and Bro hats.
Greasy behavior.
A kiosk.
That's right. All right.
Okay, here's what we do, Struddy.
Okay.
We just go through some problems, and I'm going to start with you for this one because you seem like you've been down this road possibly, and you can offer the best advice, so I'd like you to go first. Dear Hayesy-B, I turned 40 in February and already spent about $6,000 on tickets to Augusta for the Masters. I'm trying to figure out the right time to tell my wife. My 7 buddies recently told me they booked us 4 nights and 4 rounds of golf in Vegas at the start of March when the Leafs are in Vegas. I can see that being at least another $5,000 trip. How would you break this news to the wife? All at once or break it up? Or do I book her a trip and give it to her for Christmas and then break the news for her? Help a fella out, Hayesy-B. Woody and PEI.
Woody. Love the name. So two-prong attack. Attack A, you get her to go on a trip with her friends so that it softens the blow when you tell her. And the second part, you tell her, listen, I want to spend time with my buddy. I want to have that quality time because we've been friends a long time. We want to be together. I think it's important for me to keep those relationships up. What's she going to say to either one of those? Woody, problem solved.
That it is valid. I mean, if you lay it on thick enough how important you think it is, now you're risking, isn't it important to be with me? Like, why can't I go to Augusta with you? Why can't, I'd love to do that. That's where you better be prepared for a curveball, Struddy. If it doesn't land, you better be prepared for a curveball.
Pushback.
I think what you also need to be prepared for is picking which trip you want to go on. Like if you're locked in,
by the sounds of this guy, he's going on both.
I guess, and if he is, good for Woody. Like that's a gentleman's gentleman, where he's like, I'm doing both. We're going to Vegas and I'm going to Augusta. But if you've locked in Augusta, it doesn't sound like you've locked in the Vegas trip. Make sure Augusta lands. That's the one that you're doing. Like you've got it. You're going. You've always wanted to go. You're 40. I just did it for the first time in my life. I was 40. It was incredible. And I strongly suggest you stick to that. Vegas will be waiting for you down the road. Hit Augusta while you can. Make sure you land that one first.
Hazy, I'd like you to go first on this one because I think you partake in these types of activities, and I think you would know best. Mm-hmm. Dear Hayesy-B, with Halloween approaching, myself and the dads were spending the holiday absolutely flooring it last year and getting gooned on the streets. The moms were not happy at all. I'm thinking we should do it again and keep it on the rails this time around, or just enjoy walking around the neighborhood with the kids. I need your help big time, boys. Joe in Newmarket.
I know this one. I know this very well because this is what happens with dads in my area. Like there's a lot of young kids, a lot of the dads. Everyone brings booze, then someone's got shots.
Yeah, but is anybody like getting crushed, like where they're pissing their pants and falling on the street?
Well, that seems extreme. Any scenario, you shouldn't necessarily be doing that, especially
Frank
if you
the
have the kids.
Tank.
Yeah, I mean that pushes it. But what can happen is, and I've seen it, is you walk around, you're boozing a bit, and then there's other people, and then here's a drink, there's a drink, and then it's okay, let's get the kids back home, they're done, and we'll pick back up. I'll meet you at your place. Or
why not?
The garage is open. I say exactly, embrace that.
It's Halloween. I mean? Like, make it a great memory for everybody. Right. The kids have their candies, and if you really want, if you're going to be the wife and say, oh, you guys are doing that, but we're not, then get a babysitter and then let her watch the kids.
Never going to happen on Halloween babysitter. Yeah, that is
okay, then don't complain that the guys are in the neighbor's garage.
Well, what you can do, I guess, is ask, can grandparents come over and help out in some capacity? That I guess is actually doable. But in terms of the actual trick or treating, you're going to be out there with the kids. You're going to be doing it.
Got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. And then someone's going to have to stay home, and then maybe you'll pair off. That's what we do. I'll go out first, and then I'll come back. My wife will go out or whatever. But just have fun and take it easy while the kids are on the streets and you're doing the trick-or-treating. But once you hit 9 or 9:30 and you turn the lights out, have yourself a great time. I think that's
some sports in the garage and
all day.
Absolutely put the pedal right to the ground.
It's a great reason to do it. Halloween, whatever. It doesn't matter. But Valentine's Day, we got to do it. Just any excuse you can get to floor it with the neighbors, I think it's always something you support.
2 words, warning system. So you need to have people in your group understand you're being vigilant. Where are the wives? What are they doing, right? Constant communication. Hey, there's one on the next block. Let's pull it back a little bit. Look sober as we walk past that house. Like, guys, I've played this game before. I've played this game before, and you just say, guys, heads up, 10 o'clock, whatever, O-Dog's wife, and you bring it back.
Are you talking like walkie-talkie system, Strud? It's not a bad idea.
That's an interesting call.
I think there's a group chat and it says, hey, keep an eye. Like, you got it. Because that's how I dodge the bullets. Do I slow down? No. But I keep an eye out for when there's someone coming around. Mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, they always have their eyes out there. So you got to be watching. Usually father-in-laws are quite sympathetic to your idea of getting after it. So warning
Sharon's at
system.
41 Lockhart, and she's pissed. Be aware. Be aware. Be alive. Look ahead. Look ahead.
You're right. You need and that's a great point, Strud. Everyone keep it together.
Yeah.
We're going by Julie's house. She's there doing the trick-or-treating.
She
hey,
hates us
Julie,
all.
how are you? Great to see you. And then you move on. And
Do you want a shooter? No, I don't. I don't want a shooter tonight. And then you turn around, you got a backpack full.
Here's a great
you got a
line,
backpack
Struddy.
full. She doesn't know you're doing it.
Here's a great line. I'm not
Exactly.
drinking tonight. Thank you very much. Being responsible, having a great time, have a lovely night.
Have a great Halloween. They turn and just take a couple shots of Grandpa's cough syrup. Like, you've got to be strategic.
Yes, on your toes, gentlemen.
Deceptive.
On your toes. It's absolutely essential. All right, do we have one more?
One more quick one. Struddy, I want you to go first because I know this was a major part of your routine. Dear Hayesy-B, my buddy is a great guy, but with his shirt off, he looks like a disheveled bear. Vegas and pool parties is coming up in a few weeks. Do me and the boys make it non-negotiable that he gets a full body shave, or do we let it ride?
I had this problem. It's true. Up till I was about 24, 25, I had to get a heart murmur test. And so I had a pretty hairy chest. They had to shave it. So they shaved a patch down the middle. Like it was like a bald dog all of a sudden right in the middle of my chest. And I'm like, it actually looks pretty good. And I've got some pretty sick pecs under this thing. So the next week I went, I went, and I got it lasered. And ever since then, I've been bald, right, on my chest and just get it done. It takes a few treatments. So I think I didn't know it could be done. I just thought the guys didn't have hair on their chest, right? So now I know, and I wish someone would have told me younger, because I went to Vegas with that mat on my chest. It looked like I was out of the 1970s.
That's not good, man. Yeah, they've been doing experiments on you. Like, stay away from this guy. Get him out of the pool.
So once you got lasered, you've had 0 chest hairs ever since.
Yeah, like, because you get it done enough, like it thins it out, and then there's not much there. Like, I maybe get a touch up, like every year, something like that. I go in there. The ladies love when I reel in. They're like, "Hey, Struddy, great to see you. Whose turn is it? It's my turn. Whose turn is it?"
Fighting over each other to get Struddy. Here comes Struddy. I gotta have this one. Listen, there's two ways to look at this. If you're a good friend and you want this guy to have a great time, maybe it's hey, do yourself a favor, go do what you're going to do. If you're thinking, hey, this guy's going to make me look better, which is a greasy mentality, but there are some guys that think that way, then you shut your yap and you just say, hey, man, you do your thing.
You got to come with the heat and just flat out. If it is what I think it is, you have to say, when you peel your tarp off, you're repellent, and we got no action cooking, and you can fix it single-handedly. Right?
Yeah, that's valid if you're worried about that.
Listen,
but that's
guys,
nothing a little bottle service can't usually fix anyway.
I went to Vegas with Noodles many times, and Noodles' excuse, he'd always wear a long-sleeve shirt with a higher collar. He said he got sunburned the day before. I'm like, the day before you were in St. Albert. How did you get sunburned? And he'd wear the high collar like every day in the pool. I'm like, take your shirt off, man. Take your shirt off.
That's even worse, though. That's it. If that's
you mean the Placanic turtleneck? Like he wore the Placanic turtleneck?
He had it on, and he'd always say, no, I got sunburned. I'm like, buddy, this is our first day here. I know you weren't suntanning in St. Albert.
Minus 30 at St. Albert. It's a blizzard there.
I couldn't believe it. I say it every time.
I love it. Noodles Placanic. That is outstanding.
Oh, crazy.
Wet Republic. What's this guy doing with that turtleneck on?
Yeah, just
anyway.
Sunburned. It's
crew.
A nighttime pool party. Oh, I've got to be careful. Got to be careful.
You got to be careful. Noodles would be careful. I'm sure he was. All right, there you go. Dear Hayesy-B. We love it. Mail It In Fridays brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. From tip-offs to tie bites and puck drop, the pizza. BP's elite lineup of apps, swings, and ice cold beers always dialed in for game time. Also on your local PP tonight. We'll get to our best bets. Wrap up a busy afternoon. We'll do that next. All right, best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Looking at 3 games in the NFL this week. Big favorites, but I like laying these numbers because of who they're playing. Jets laying 7 against New England. New England's awful right now. They're coming back from overseas. New England's got to really probably start thinking towards the future. The Jets are thinking about the now. They have to get a win. I like the Jets big. Green Bay laying 3.5 against the Jags. Jags have been awful. They were just in Europe for 2 weeks. I like Green Bay big, and Denver big too, laying 10.5. Huge spread, but they're playing Carolina. Bryce Young's back playing quarterback for the Panthers this week. Big, heavy favorites, parlayed. I love it this week. Those are my 3 plays. And today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. FanDuel is the home for popular parlays this NFL season. Please play responsibly. 19 plus, physically located in Ontario. All right, boys. Struddy, great stuff, buddy. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys. This was fun. Really enjoyed it. I love the Hayesy-B questions. That's some
Dear Hayesy-B is it's a beautiful thing on Fridays.
You know what? You have an invite, open invite, even if you're not a guest host on the show for the whole show. Just come on and just listen and help out.
I would love to chime in, maybe bring some fresh perspective.
We got to do that. And you know where Noodles is right now, wearing a turtleneck?
Oh, for sure.
He's in Vegas.
For sure.
He's in Vegas wearing a turtleneck right now. All right.
Baggy shorts. That's always baggy shorts.
Oh. Converse shoes, and a turtleneck. I love him in Vegas. All right, boys. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in this whole week. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at...
Struddy, nobody was fighting over to see you could shave your chest. You're a damn liar. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.